Hey guys, what's up? I bought this 6040 China Zone CNC machine, and I thought I'd review it and let you guys know what I thought about it, and give some tips and tricks if you're just starting out, like with CNC milling. It's a lot different than 3D printing, and there's a significant learning curve associated with it. And I've worked with bigger machines before, but I actually I moved from my job, and I'm in school again right now, studying patent law. But I always kind of liked machining, and so I bought this to be able to make some emblems and stuff for my uncle's car shop, and do a couple other things. But I thought I'd go ahead and review it, show you all what came with it, what problems I've had with it, and kind of give you an idea of what you can expect. And then also, like, if you're just starting out, like what problems you might run into in some basic principles of like milling aluminum. So the first thing is it came with a controller that looked like this. And as you can see, I have completely dismantled it. It's also got this, it came with this 110 volt water pump. And I haven't actually had really any problems with the water getting hot at all. So you don't need a very big reservoir. I'm just using just regular tap water right now, but I was watching a video of a guy who put the windshield wiper fluid stuff in there instead, and some other people use antifreeze. I would say that'd probably be better than water, but this is a temporary setup that I got going right now, so I didn't really feel like spilling any of that in here. And here's the A-axis. I haven't really messed around with that at all. And I'm just, I've just been doing two-dimensional milling, really. So yeah, so I took it apart because if you order one of these machines, chances are, I think most of them come with like a controller like this. And they don't actually, like, it doesn't come with any software. Like, I had used a Centroid system before, and Centroid has like its own controller built in it. But this doesn't. So what I had to do was, so if you like have Fusion 360 or SolidWorks or something, you can make your part, and then you set up a tool path, and then you have to load that tool path into a program called Mach 3. And so this is separate from like the seller who's going to sell the 6040 CNC machine. And like they give you a demo version of Mach 3, but you can only run up to line 500 of a code. So if you want to run code longer than 500 lines, which odds are you do, you're gonna have to pay, I think it was like $140 to unlock the software to be able to do that. And like when you first get it, I don't remember exactly what the configuration settings were, but there were like some things in here that you had to change so that like the distances and everything lined up right with the board. And you also had like download some plugin or something. I think it was, yeah, it's R&R Motion plugin. But basically, you open this thing up, and it's got, if you press tab, then this thing comes out and it allows you to like move everything around. But you plug just like a normal USB cable into, the back of the thing, or this thing, and then this like Arduino controller thing is what drives the stepper motors. And I don't know if like it was broken from the beginning or what, but I could never get the controller to actually control the RPM. Like I always had to change it manually. And I also couldn't get it to for the emergency stop to work. So I don't know if it was just like the inputs and outputs got messed up, and so only like the stepper motor driver part works, or what. But that's actually not why I took it out of the case. I took it out of the case for a different reason. And like I know I went through all the settings and I changed there's like a switch for like manual and PC mode, and I screwed with all that and I still couldn't get it to work. but it does work. It does cut. It is pretty nice, and for the price, like, you can't do any better. And people say that, like, it's hard to mill aluminum. It's not hard to mill aluminum on this machine. If you know what you're doing, it works great. So the reason why I took it out of the case was because somebody else pointed out that, like, none of these wires have shielding on it, and it was like missing steps. And so, like, I'd run the program, and what would happen is, like, the stepper motor would lock up or something wouldn't happen right, and then the tool would go down, but it wouldn't go down where it was supposed to, and so it'd, like, plunge directly into the aluminum and then break. And that, you know, once you break like 2 or 3 $5 end mills, that gets really annoying, and so you really want to fix that. And so, like, what I did to try and solve that problem, I thought maybe it was like noise, you know, from everything bouncing around inside the enclosure, because none of these wires are shielded like they should be. And that seemed to help. Like, I haven't had really any problems with it doing that since I, you know, take it out of the enclosure. So I'm hoping that's what it is. I don't know. I mean, I might just leave it like this and just, like, not touch anything, or I might try and find some shielded cables and use them instead. But I mean, so that's, like, the problems that you're gonna run into if you get something like this. Like, it's gonna be kind of glitchy, but it does work, and it works nicely. Like, another complaint that I had was, like, it comes with these little wing nut things and, like, this, you know, kind of screw clamp down thing. And you can't, like, if you torque it down too tight, you'll just bend the aluminum here. So, like, you got to be really careful. I made these little, like, brackets, like linear long slung washers, so you can put a little bit more torque on it, but it's not they're not designed for really high torque applications. And if you're going to want to mill something out of, like, an aluminum piece like this, you're going to want to like, fasten it to a spoil board, because it's just too hard to keep in place. I guess you could put it in a vise too, but, like, I wouldn't put it, like, underneath something and then try and use these things, because it just slides all over the place. Because you have more surface area with the wood, and it doesn't move around as much, at least for me. It also kind of dampens vibrations. But as far as milling goes, like, if you're going to use, I've been using a 1/16 inch end mill to cut out these letters. I'll show you some of the ones I cut out earlier. But, like, I'm running it at 24,000 RPM. And the thing is, like, when you run that fast, you want to make sure that you have enough speed so that it cuts and it doesn't heat the material up too hot and, like, chip weld. Because once it'll chip weld, and then you'll get like, all this aluminum in the flutes of the end mill, and then it won't cut, and then it'll break. So it's like skiing, you know. You got to have speed if you want this to work. And, like, the way the motor is, if you want to, like, get the whole 1.5 kW out of it, like, you have to be going at a significant speed, otherwise it'll just stall. So it's kind of a dance, like, when you first start, but you want to have the tool moving at a fast enough feed rate so that you're able to get rid of the heat from the cutting in those chips, and it doesn't, like, just weld the aluminum together. And so that's one thing that I didn't really know when I started this, and I had some trouble with it. But another thing is, like, when you, in Fusion 360, there's this setting called, I think it was optimal load. And so what that is it's how much material you want the tool to take off on each pass. And that's another really important thing. So, like, for this 1/16 inch end mill, it's has a 3/16 length to cut, and I think I had the optimal load set for 9/1000 of an inch. And so 9/1000 is like, I don't know, what is it? It's like 0.15 of the diameter of the tool or something. But and so that's about right. So but if you're doing slotting, you can go the whole diameter of the tool, but you don't go down as deep. And so, like, you got to get that all figured out if you want to be able to cut stuff out. But I mean, I've liked this machine. It's not something that you're just gonna be able to like start doing. Like, you just buy this and then you're making parts. Like, I mean, there's a significant learning curve, and you're gonna have to buy tools, and you're gonna break in mills, and you know, you're gonna screw around with it until you get you know, a program that works. And if you're doing like a production run, then you can use that program over and over again. But if you're not, you're gonna have to like, kind of mess around with it each time you want to make a new part. And so, like, I've been able to do some pretty cool stuff with it. Where, oh, here, yeah, I made all these. And so, like, you can do, and this was just like rough cutting, but I mean, you can make really really tight tolerance parts. These are all made on the 6040 CNC with the 1/16 end mill at 24,000 RPM. And this is, I think, 6061 aluminum, 1/8 inch. But yeah, I mean, so that's what it is. You know, I've had troubles with it, but like, I've been able to get it to work, so I'm not really going to complain that much, especially for the price. And that's just the way it is with, like, you know, almost anything, any 3D printer, really. I mean, you're going to have to tweak it a little bit. And I don't really get what the deal is with this Arduino card thing. Apparently it's like mass produced from China. But yeah, so I mean, that's what my experience has been. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you have any ideas. You can see I got a bit of a mess going on here right now. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I hope you found this helpful.